All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Microsoft Build. Welcome to cross-platform modern .NET with 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 platform at enterprise scale with AI-assisted workflows. We are your hosts for the next 25 minutes. I am Sam Basu, developer advocate over at 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 platform, and with me I have
Colin Whitlatch. I'm the CTO of Kahua, and we're here. We're longtime partners with 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀, and we're extremely excited about what you're here to see today because it's just an evolution of what you guys have built.
Yeah. So we are doing this together strategically. As 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 platform, we are the makers of the platform, and Colin and Kahua are our biggest customers. They're pushing the platform and the tools to get what they need out of their enterprise realities. So we are here to share how we see the evolution of developer tooling across agentic workflows as we go into the future. Some big announcements to make, so let's get into it. So first thing is, as we look at how we build software, we have some broad buckets, right? We could do the traditional code-centric, where we are in our IDEs all day and we are manually writing code and testing things. Maybe you want some more visual stuff. So if you have drag and drop tools, maybe you can iterate on your UI a little bit quicker. We got hot reload that can sync things back. But AI is dramatically changing how we build software. And the fundamentals still matter. As you can see, we'll bring a lot of context so that your AI agents and you fall into a pit of success, right? So it's a full scale, it's a spectrum, and hopefully you'll see that as we go from left to right, your tooling, your developer productivity get much, much better with agentic workflows.
Yep, and one thing to add is we're going to show you a lot. It's going to be fast with a little under 25 minutes here. One important thing, we love AI. Our company has over 100 developers. We've gone from writing code by hand 6 months ago. We actually were still all traditional development. We now zero code written by humans. It's all AI driven. We're orchestrators. That's the big thing for everyone to learn here. But one thing that I want everybody to focus on here as we go forward is we love the design tools that are out there. Things like there's Copilot, there's Claude Design, love Figma. What you're going to see here, it is the full stack. So we're not just showing you something where it's just a bit of thing like you got to go polish it off later. You're going to be some real live running code here.
Yeah, let's get into it. So more on that, we see the spectrum. I think most of you are in the same boat. We have done a lot of surveys where majority of us are adopting AI. We're doing so cautiously. You might still have some people who are hesitant, but more and more of us are going to the AI forward, the innovators. Maybe you're doing multi-agent orchestration, you're using MCP tools, you're using skills. So the more we cater to the AI forward people, the better it is for the whole stack. But the idea here is no matter where you are in the spectrum, we should have tooling ready for you to be productive, right? Now, no matter how good your AI tools, the fundamentals matter. Otherwise, it's vaporware, right? So this is our fundamental. It's a foundational open source stack. That's 𝗦𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 platform. Been around for a long, long time. It gives you a cross-platform way to build .NET apps. So from a single shared code base, I get to build an app that runs on iOS, Android, web, through WebAssembly browsers, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, all the things. And I have lots and lots of tools to be productive. But we want to take that a little bit more. This is 𝗦𝗀𝗀 Platform Studio. This is a collection of AI and design tools meant to augment your productivity. So the first thing is hot design. Maybe you want a runtime visual designer. So as your app is running, we give you a pause button. You have a nice surface area to tweak on your app UI. With hot reload, we sync it back to your IDE with your code. Maybe you're using Figma or Pencil, any of those design tools. We can bring over your design, nice pipeline into actual functional code for your apps. And if you're using AI, we want AI to have context, right? Context is everything. So our MCP tools bring the context of the grounding that you need for docs, so latest docs. And then for those of you who build web apps, you might be familiar with Playwright. So this is essentially Playwright for .NET apps, right? So AI has eyes and hands, so we can have the agents look at your app, interact with it, click on things, type in text, so you have a full way to validate what the UI, what the AI is building. So that's where we stand today. And we are, it's a full vertically integrated stack. And I think, Colin, you folks use this a lot. So start wherever you are, any OS, any IDE. Yep. Get started with the MCP tool, super easy to get set up. And as you develop, you have all the tools to be productive, all the way to CI/CD and deployment pipelines. And you folks, do enterprise apps with this.
Yes, we do. And we have an enterprise platform, and there's a whole lot of apps under that umbrella. And I will say, you're exactly right. There are a lot of entry points into this, and you can start. You can be AI first in terms of getting getting things going, but you can still do your traditional approaches. You can do database first. You can just go out and just do a little rapid prototyping, any type of model waterfall if you like. It's all, you can start anywhere here. And I was saying, this is somewhat, in a way, linear, maybe vertical and horizontal. It's a very big circle for us. There's any aspect you can jump into and get started with it.
Yeah, so it is a rich stack as we stand today, but let's look ahead at the future. Our teams have been super busy for the last several months, and we are super, super excited to present you 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀 Platform Studio 3.0. This is the evolution of everything that we have talked about into the agentic future with skills, with plugins, with all the AI and design tools that you need to be really, really productive. So there are a lot of things in here. Let's get into it. First is a specialized agent that knows exactly how to build 𝗦𝗲 platform apps really, really well. And it's backed by skills, because agents, they need skills to be falling into a pit of success. We do that, like 60 plus skills. We have MCP tools so the agents can be looking at docs, they can validate the UI that you're building. So your agentic loops work very efficiently. Now, cross-platform .NET, it's not easy, because you have to depend on those SDKs, iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac. So there is some setup, but we are here taking away all of the barrier to entry. There is literally nothing to install, because we are launching 𝗦𝗲 Platform Studio app. This is an app that runs seamlessly on desktop, web, and mobile. So you could literally go to your browser, and this is not vibe coding. We're going to spin up a full .NET app for you in the browser. We're going to visually see the app being built. You can tweak your app UI. Once you're happy, you export, and you drop down into your IDE or CLI. So really, easy to get started, and jumping in for a full cross-platform .NET experience, right? So that's it in a nutshell.
Yes.
Enough talk. Let's switch.
So while he gets set up for a second, one quick thing is, it's with 𝗦𝗲 Platform, you really build it once, it runs everywhere, desktop, web, and mobile. Been that way for quite some time. Quite powerful, love it, because we only write these things once. There is no having to go and build this on an entirely new platform and have to duplicate code. What you're about to see here is literally kind of the inverse here. We're running and building a full .NET app with just straight from the browser.
All right, so I'm looking at platform.uno here. That's our website. As you can see, we have a text box right up front to say, tell us what you want to build, right? So compared to other tools like Lovable, Bolt, or anything else, this is spinning up a full-on .NET cross-platform app right there in your browser with an agent that's very comfortable. So this is where it starts out. It's just a prompt. I'm going to copy over and just type in a text here. Let's just build a weather app. And again, it's AI, so it's non-deterministic. We'll let it spin for a little bit. It's getting into planning mode. Well, let's block my calls. I am in no disturb mode. Anyways, so while it's building, we're going to switch over to some apps that I have built already. So there's a gallery. You can start with a prompt, or you can just start with one of these apps that are built. This one here is a coffee app, and you can see what it does out of the gate is I can see what my app looks like in light mode and dark mode, right? I can see what my app is going to look like on a mobile form factor, slightly bigger tablet form factor, and so on. So I can really visualize what my app is doing. I still have my agent here at all times to tweak app UI. I can ask it to make some changes. On the left-hand side here are a couple of interesting things. If I go into design mode, now I'm actually looking at hot design, which is where I can tweak and iterate on app UI. I can select anything in here, and I can see the actual visual tree where my app UI is being rendered. I have all of the UI that I can drag and drop, and I can change up all of the properties. It's all working live in the browser for you, right? So again, just to look at what this might look like, I can go down to previews, which are individual elements of your app, kind of disconnected, but in design mode, you can see how they're looking at across responsive breakpoints, across different states. What do they look like with or without data binding? There are some system design, UI as well. But if you go back to the app, you can try out your app fully interactive right in the browser. Here's another app. This is actually a CRM app. Again, done from a simple prompt here. I can go into interactive mode, and you can see as I'm, looking around my app, it shows me all the things as if my app is working, and it is a real app fully loaded up through WebAssembly in the browser. Here's some live charts data visualization. Here's some custom mapping solutions. So full-on enterprise apps. Once I'm ready, once I've spun this enough, I can hit export, and at that point, it just drops you down into either GitHub or local, and then you can go from there, right? So what we are trying to do here is really enable how quickly you can start up here. Here's kind of where we see the future. I don't have the time to show you this live, but you can have multiple sessions where I might be on my web, he might be on a mobile device, and I can still make UI tweaks and push it through hot reload to all of the sessions that are looking at the same thing. And each one is loading up the app live in real time. So that's how we get started. This one is still spinning. It's actually building the app. We'll come back to it. But let's just say you are ready with this, right? And you want to drop into your actual dev environment. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here I am in Visual Studio Code, right? Here is where, again, the tooling shines, the same tools that we use from the web. What you can see here are a couple of MCP servers that are wired up because it knows that it's an UNO platform app. There is a new plugin. The plugin brings in 60+ skills on exactly how the agent can build UNO platform apps, and again, just more modular guidance and instructions so the agent does the right thing. This one here is like a chef's app, and this is Visual Studio Code, so it recognizes all the places where my app can run. I'm going to quickly run this here on my desktop. So let's do a quick run here. It's going to do a build. Net10 is our desktop runtime, and it's going to do a build here. And out comes the desktop application, right? So this is my app, and it's running here. I'm going to skip past a couple of things here to get to the main screen. So it's a recipes app. It's busy. It's got quite a few views, view models. It's data-driven. What you see here is up here, we do notice hot reload and hot design wired up. So again, we are giving you the same tools. Now it's in desktop. You have the same things in mobile. Here I can step down, and I have the same interface. I can interactively work on my app, or I can go into design mode, and at which point I can really zoom in and look at individual items. And I can zoom in further. Here, let's go into this particular collection view. I can go all the way down to the template view. I can go all the way down to the individual data items that are bound to my template. And you can see this is live data. So we are working with something very live in production, right? And at any point, I can click in, and I'm out of the hot design mode. One more thing to show is if I go in here, in interactive mode, enterprise apps are often complicated. You have a wizard, you have steps you have to go through. Here I can just tap, and I can use the app as if I'm using this on desktop or mobile. Let's just go into this mode here. I want to change up this thing. My CTO calls, he wants to make a small change, right? So here I can go back into design mode, and I can actually highlight that. Let's go further in. That's the chart. And what you can see here is these are some brushes that we are painting it with. Let's change this up to a different color. As you can see, it immediately repaints because this is hot design. It realizes that I've made a change, so it shows me the change right here. And if I go back to my IDE, I happen to know that was the recipe pages detail page, and that's the chart control. You can see the protein brush color has changed, right? So whatever I do in my design surface comes right back to my code, right? So that's a nice experience. Now let me close this out. One more thing I want to show you. Here, let's go into my GitHub Copilot, or any agent that you want. I can do Cloud Code here as well. What's nice here is if I open this up, you can see that this is a UNO platform project. So it wires up these things for me. So my agents are always grounded in the best practices of how to initialize and what are the ways to build an UNO platform app. It can do documentation search and fetch, so it always does the right thing. And then these are my app interactivity controls. So I can do click, I can do screenshot, I can do, this is how AI keeps working in a loop until it gets it right. So this is why these tools are so important. So as an example here, I never have to leave my IDE. If I'm in a dev flow, here we are asking, like, this is a reactive pattern, like MVUX. This is C# and XAML, so I can do MVVM, or I can do MVUX. So when I ask, like, tell me about this is where you can see it actually goes in and tries to do documentation searches and fetches and gives me a summary of exactly what to expect. So both you and the AI agent is always grounded in the docs. Make sense? Now, a little bit more here. Let's go a little bit more interactive. I'm going to close this out entirely, right? And we are back into the mode where we are doing terminal, command line, everything, right? It's headless, and it's super, super fast. So this is the same app that I'm looking at. Now I'm going to pull up GitHub Copilot. This is the exact same chat experience that you have inside of Visual Studio or VS Code. I'm going to make it maybe a little bit bigger. So this is GitHub Copilot. I can resume here in my VS Code or Visual Studio or Rider, so wherever it works. Here, if I go into MCPs, you'll notice that it's using the same exact MCP tools that I showed you from my IDE. So again, here as well, the agent is grounded in docs, and it has those app interactivity tools. If I now go in and say, give me all the skills that you have, there are 60+ skills in here that are just released as of today. This is a big push for us, getting into UNO Platform Studio 3.0. If you want to do navigation, if you want to do sort of material toolkit or anything theming-wise, we have lots and lots of skills here that, again, helps the agent do the right thing. So let's do one quick test here. What if I say, let's launch the app on desktop? here you're going to see the AI, and this is the AI, it's non-deterministic, so it's going to try to figure out, oh, this is a .NET project. It's going to read the CS proj and try to figure out how to launch this, because I did not give it anything. So it's working away over slow Wi-Fi. So while it's doing that, let me see if this thing finished. So this is the weather app that I started out here. It's fully done. Took about 4 minutes. We are making this shorter and shorter, but this is a fully immersive weather app done completely in your browser, and I can hit export and drop it down into Visual Studio, right? And again, this app from the get-go is, it's light mode and dark mode. It's interactive, so I can see what it looks like across bigger or smaller form factors. Let's go look at the biggest form factor here. Look, I mean, it looks nice, right? So all of this done with just a single prompt, right? And here as well, I can drop into design. I can change up things if I don't like something. I can drop into previews and look at how things are looking at an individual UI element level. Okay, so we have 8 minutes left in here. This one here, it's getting to work here. GitHub Copilot is starting to figure it out. It's gotten the runtime, and now it's invoking app start, which is our way of an MCP tool, so it launches the app, right? So same exact app that I saw from my IDE, now it's in here, and it's done programmatically. So let's skip past a few things here again. We are back to this screen. So notice how little I'm giving the agent. So the agent takes screenshot after screenshot, trying to make sure it's doing the right thing. So if I say, let's click on avocado toast, right? Just a UI element, I'm not giving it anything, so it has to figure out what exactly is the user wanting to do. Is it a clickable thing? Is it a button? Is it an item in a feed view, right? It will do all of it. It's actually going to go through the visual tree of figuring out what the app UI looks like, and then it actually clicks on the thing. So think of this in terms of your testing scenarios, your UI testing, your integration testing. You can automate all of this with the right MCP tools, right? So again, it's trying to figure out all the things. It's doing searches and trying to figure out what exactly did I mean. So we'll give it another second here. We have 7 minutes. Colin, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to add one thing to point out is, again, it's powered by MCP, so you can call it with your own MCP servers. You can call externally, and also, this is using GPT-5 Mini, so you can pick which model you like. It's not particular to any certain one. It's the same thing we all do out here. I think the term now is token maxing, which I think with the cost of everything going up, you don't want to do that. It doesn't need a whole lot to get started. And one thing you move rapidly that I want to point out, you see hot design and hot reload on there. I will tell you this, for those that have teenagers, you've probably realized that the worst technical crime you could commit is taking away their internet. And then for developers, it's taking away their hot design and hot reload. But you have it here. Every time you make a change anywhere across the spectrum, whether it's in the console, whether it's in the GUI, it's going to be reflected immediately.
Yeah. So it's actually figured out, and it's doing a pointer click, and eventually it'll click. So for the sake of time, let's go back to where we started, right? So just a quick recap of all the things we showed you. Is this still working? There you go. So 𝗦𝗲𝗀 Platform 3.0 has some key building blocks in it. First up is a specialized agent that has skills, that has MCP tools at its disposal, so AI does the right thing. We are shipping previews, so you get to build and preview and validate UI components in isolation across responsive boundaries, across data context, states, and themes. We have snippets. I didn't get to show you that. That's a building block for your app UI, so you can quickly iterate on UI. You can drag and drop and customize. And then we are shipping skills and plugins that you can use from GitHub Copilot, Codex, Claude Code, any agent that you want, right? So a lot of things built into one, but the idea here is you can start anywhere. We are taking away the barriers to entry. Kahua has had a lot of success, so you go,
yes,
sir.
Absolutely. We're running short on time already. But I will say for our platform itself, we built this very large, just really ecosystem of things where you can come and build with our own Canvas creator. Come see us over the other building, by the way, you'll hear that at the end here. Definitely show you a whole lot more. But a couple things I want to just touch on here is everything you saw that runs, you can build what we build. Like you guys power all of our rendering, all of our display, and it does really run once, or you build it once, it runs everywhere. And a couple things that are on here on this particular one.
Next slide. Yeah,
yes.
cool
what we've been getting into is you'll see LiDAR up there. One of my favorite things to do, it's not only is it just a cool trick to show in demos, but it's actually extremely powerful because it shows what can be done. You can start with these apps that we build with literally from the web and say, I want to build out a component, literally transition to Visual Studio Code and use our own components, and you can instantly start using iPhone 16 or iPhone iPhone Pros and also the iPad Pros and actually take 3D mesh modeling out there. It's very cool. And we use it internally for one of our applications to do inspections, like building inspections. You can actually scan rooms and look for safety violations and the like. And another thing we also are doing now, 360 photo capture. We use it because we're in the construction space for a significant amount of our business. And that one is across the board. There's 30, 40-year projects that are out there, so the owners of that want to be able to actually see things from the beginning through construction, walk around and do things. So that's stuff that we power and use with what you've just seen today. Probably not going to talk too much about 𝗬𝗫𝗀𝗀 today. However, I will say a lot of exciting things on that front, even though it's been out for about 20 years. That is powering everything you see here. A ton of visuals, all brought to you by the 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 platform.
All right, so I think what we are trying to say here is humans and AI need to work in a loop. We are all in this together. We don't want to hold up either one, right? Yep. So the human needs to go. Maybe you start with a prompt, maybe you have a detailed spec file, but you need to hand it off to AI to say, go do your thing. And at that point, AI needs to have all the right tools to be able to successfully build what you're asking and also verify. That verification loop is super important. This is where AI can gather what it needs to build, plan, generate the code, and then verify. That's where the MCPs and the previews come in. It's going to go on in a loop until it thinks it's gotten it right. And you can see all of this come in live into your environment through hot reload. So keep the browser open. You're going to see the agent fill in stuff as it gets things done. And then you get to see how it's looking. If you need to tweak, go into hot design, tweak a little bit, and then let it fly again, right? So it's a loop where neither of us want to be held back. Just fly as quickly as possible, and then you move on to the next thing. AI builds the rest of your app. So human and AI working together. So back to where we started about building software, right? I think hopefully you can see that we are all over in the spectrum together. No one company or one developer does exclusively one thing. I'm in code a lot, but I'm also using agents a lot, right? So it's a mix. So here with AI and design tools, hopefully what you can see is no matter where you are on the spectrum, you have one tech stack that has tooling for you to make you productive and comfortable using a combination of all of these tools. And that's what you folks are using at Kahua.
Yep, 1000%, because we're always looking for ways to reduce the overhead or really just whether it's bootstrapping, getting started. I know now you just go to a web page to get started. But it also, the deliverables in the day, by the way, what you get from this is still the same artifacts. You just mentioned a second ago, it's you're building the applications, but you're really still building XAML, still building C#, not doing anything different. So all your, the foundations of computer science, they're still exactly the same. It's just we've removed a lot. AI is a huge, way to make that happen, but it's really the tooling you provided and those things that you've talked about, like the MCP servers, being able to instantly get to things and now do away with trying to have some other interface that you want to do to control the UI. But again, that's what we use it for because it greatly simplifies what we do. We still have all the human in the loop. It's a very big thing for Kahua. It's a big thing for everyone, but especially for us. Everything needs to be perfect. It needs to work the same way. So we still get that. We didn't show even integrations with GitHub, but that is there. But again, as you get the chance to look at things, either approve or decline, reject pull requests, still can do that every day. But again, that is what we're using it for. So this just makes it easier for us to build software.
Yeah, so the fundamentals matter more than it ever has. It always has. But AI increases our speed, but the context about how you build and verify what you're building absolutely matters. So that's where we are at with 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 Platform, 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 Platform Studio. We are really running out of time here, but hopefully what you see here is a no-friction way to get started with cross-platform .NET with 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Platform. Start in the web, start on the desktop, start on the mobile phone. We can iteratively work on the design together in multiple stacks. So try things out. That's all we are asking. Come and see us. We are up across in the other pavilion at a booth all day for 2 days. So come and talk to us. We'd love to show you more. But most importantly, try things out.
Yep, awesome. I will say, if anybody's a fan of old classic arcade games, come see us at the booth. We'll show you how Hawaiian-themed arcade games.
All right, so thank you folks for spending your time with us. Thank you so much. Yeah.